Well, hello YouTubers, and once again I bring you to another adventure at one of Pennsylvania's oldest coal mine at the number 9 Mine Tour Museum and here in Lansford. And what we're going to do is Underground Miners is putting on a special tour. What's today, March 18th. We're going to take a tour. I have to show you on a map. Extended tour that they've uncovered in this mine.
Supporting our event, we're going to see some neat stuff today. So first off, we made sure we could do this little thing with the state mine inspectors because it's not an actual tour yet. It's not open to the public. Blah blah blah. So we went down and met with them, and they said, yeah, just give everybody a safety briefing on what they're going to entail, and it'll be fine. So the safety briefing, don't fall in the ditch. It's going to be fun. That's about it. Other than that, it's like the rest of the tour. Where we're going, no matter where we go in there, there's going to be another way out from the mine. So the rock tunnel, we're going to go back. It actually comes around. We're not going to travel it. Probably need waders yet. Back around and connects by the shaft. We'll show all you guys that. The rock tunnel isn't that big back there. And it's big, but not for 35 people. So we're going to take two groups back there. We'll have group 1 and group B. And we'll take half of you guys back. And the other half, we can just run around the tour. Who's not been here before? All right, very good. So, yeah, you can have. So we'll take the first group around the tour. The second group can go back and check out what's going on in the new area with Zach. We actually haven't been down helping on this project. We're working on the brooks up there. But, so Zach's going to show you everything that's going on. And then when we're done with the first group, we're going to swap. Take the second group back. And then we'll do the tour. If anybody wants to climb the escapeway, we can do that. But we're not going to go outside. And we're not going to climb the vertical ladders. The other way out of the mine is it goes up a coal chute on a pitch. And there's like a ladder way that goes up and then turns into a vertical section. We've done that, and then people go up on the hillside, then wander back down here, and it just turns into a cluster. So we're not gonna do that today. But if anybody wants to go up and check it out, you can climb the escapeway until where it turns vertical, and then just come back down again. So we'll do that afterwards. And then after that's done, Mark is gonna cook us all up some lunch on the grill over there by the motor barn. You can hang out, whatever you want to do. And while that's going on, whoever wants to learn how to run the mine locomotive or run it again. Can. So, it'll be a good day. We're going to have fun. Yeah? You all ready? Yeah. Zach's got caps and lights. I got 5. You got 5? I think that works. So, whoever needs a cap and light to see Zach.
You got 5.
Yep. And make sure they come back, that's all I ask.
Just have to make lights on.
Got it.
That's on the front of the light.
I always carry backup anyway. One push the button to low beam, high beam is 2 pushes.
I just want to show you here. This is at the beginning. That's a picture of the head frame that's up top. Where we're going, the original tour, where are we at here? Here it is. Right here's the mouth of the tunnel. It starts here. Original tour goes back about here and then stops. But last year we went to here where the mammoth veins collapsed. And now they've opened it up. You can go back, and this here, it's called the spring shaft. I think it was one of the first mine shafts for coal. And that would have been Summit Hill up here. So we're gonna get going. There's the mine. So let's see what we find. As the first time anyone's seen this since the 60s back here. Let's catch up with the crew and learn a little thing or two. So enough yakking, let's get cracking.
side. We have small staff. We are a 501c3 nonprofit on top of that. But brief history to mine. Mine opened in 1855. We began driving this tunnel in. The original goal was to help alleviate some of the water in the mines in Summit Hill, which is up on the top. Of course, at that time, steam technology was still in its infancy. Pumping, as they went in, they encountered the veins, started mining down in the valley, and that began that. In 1931, they started doing upgrading in the mine to just prolong its life, its useful life. This timber at that point, the main haulage way, was too expensive to constantly maintain as they went through, so steel and concrete were put in all the way through. Shaft here was sunk in 1900, down to access 3 other levels below this first level. Mine's about 5 square miles if you can lay all 4 levels out next to each other. Levels 3 and 4 are flooded, 1 and 2 are still dry. Water level right now is about 25 feet below the second level. That's where it's been since the 1960s when we stopped pumping. Our mine closed in 1972, and its 117-year run makes it the longest continuously operated deep anthracite coal mine in the world, as recognized by United Mine Workers. So that's kind of the dime tour here, at least for that. We can go inside.
How do we go inside?
Yep.
So you guys have got the loader helmets on the top of them. You have the instructions on them. There's a button on top. You push it twice. First is low, second is
High mid. Yep. Yep. The only thing is just don't push it in rapid succession. Sometimes the electronics don't like that. Lovely electronics.
it's probably easier to see when you get inside.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll know.
Right up here is the escape we went up last year.
Is that an escape lift?
We're not going to go out that way this time, but they said we can. There's a little cutout there. I didn't see that last time. And right up here is the hospital. Some of this might be you've seen on the last video I did. So I'll try to cut it short so you don't see duplicates of what. There's the old hospital.
November of last year, so forgive me if it gets a little out of order. But, all right, so if you were working in the mines in the 19th century and you got injured along the way, 2 or 3 hours into a shift, banged up pretty good, so you fell, broke a leg, broke an arm. I mean, you're more than just cutting a finger here or there. All right, so what's going to happen is your laborer working with you, basically your apprentice in the mines, He is going to help you get down to the foot of your chamber, your chute. He's going to tear a piece of his shirt off, anything that he has handy to bandage up a little bit. Give you some water from canteen, that would be handy with you. And sitting down near the foot of the chute, that is where you're going to stay for the remainder of that shift. Whether it's the next 8 hours, 7 hours, you're going to be there for the duration. Coal companies during that time period, they were not going to send a car and just take you outside because you're injured. Production of that coal, that was far more important. You as a miner were easily replaceable in the eyes of the coal company. They could just hire somebody else if you were killed, crippled, and couldn't come back, able to come back to work. So we're going to move forward a little bit. So that was, say, 1870s, 1880s we were talking about. Now we're going to come up to 1890. January that year is when they founded the United Mine Workers of America. Throughout the 1890s, there were a lot of sit-downs, strikes, violent decade, the 1890s. But during this time, the United Mine Workers, they were fighting for three major things in the region. They wanted better working conditions for the men, they wanted better wages, and a standardized working day, because at that time they could range anywhere from 10 to over 12 hours on a shift. There was no standardization of it. Also, wages were all over the board. They could vary based on what vein you were working in, what level, your ethnicity, depending on how much paymaster liked you. It could vary radically. But regardless, so under the some of the changes that occurred towards the end of the 1890s, around 1900, you really started to see buildings like mine hospitals being constructed underground. A hospital is the word we all think of today. Nice, clean, white room with a doctor in it. A mine hospital, this is first aid station. This is just a very nice looking first aid station. This building was built around 1930. It replaced a mine hospital that was in the same location that was built back in the early 19-teens. Some of the shell of it is still around the back side of this building. But inside of here, this one was, again, a little more upscale than some other mine hospitals. Electric lighting, steam heat. There was running water in here off of the discharge line from the steam lines. It was warm running water, but at least running water. 2 cots, they could lay out if you're severely injured. Wide variety of medical supplies were in here. No attendant though. It was simply up to mine or mine foreman, whoever's around. They're going to use the supplies in here just to get you stable enough until they could get a car in here and get you out. But again, you started to see mine hospitals turn of the 20th century. In today's modern underground anthracite mines, these are small independent operations. There's really no need for this when you have 6 to 8 guys working underground. So you're going to have the suitcase first aid kit with you. That is going to be there. You're going to have basic first aid training as a miner. Mine foremen have a little bit more advanced first aid training. If God forbid you have a catastrophe in a mine, all right, like so somebody is trapped, you got a squeeze, a fall, somebody is severely injured or an explosion. You as a miner, unless you can immediately get to somebody without endangering yourself or somebody around you, you are going to get just yourself out. You look out for number 1 is the rule. So you're going to get yourself out. As soon as you're out, you're going to make 3 phone calls that no mine superintendent ever wants to make. You're going to call MSHA within 15 minutes of an accident. Have to. That's by law. You're going to call DEP, Deep Mine Bureau, Deep Mine Safety, Mine Rescue, and State Police. Those are the calls you have to make, and it is up to the mine rescue teams, 3 of them in the state, to actually come and assess the situation, go in and extricate you. So it's a little different now than this, but this was the beginnings of really first aid around the mines. Questions here at this point? All right. Okay. That's that whole spiel. The first aid in the mines. Things are a lot better now than, of course, 130 some years ago now.
How's it look inside? We look inside?
We'll go right ahead. It was originally plastered. It was quite nice, but sitting in water for 20 years when this mine was abandoned. The inside has seen better days, but it was quite a bit nicer when it was in operable condition.
This was all full of water during the abandonment?
Yeah, it was about, at this point, right about 30 inches of water at this point.
I saw a line.
You can see the line. Yeah.
A normal mine tour, they usually have this set up so you get better lighting. Just to give you an idea.
Say hello to YouTube.
I changed my name, Chris.
Long way around the corner.
If you don't have muck boots, it may not be for you because trust me, the muck is about a foot deep going around the corner, and when we get over on the other side, there's some holes where it could be water up above your boot. So just be aware, if you don't have muck boots going around the corner all the way, may not be advisable. So if you're not going around the corner, then you can cut across at the mule way. For one, you can just kind of go back that way, to direct them that way.
Where's that? Up there, you mean?
Yeah, the mule way to
I
go
was
around.
just take them up and bring them right back this way.
Oh, okay, because we can go all the way around at once.
Yeah, if everybody doesn't have muck boots, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Just take them up and show them the cars and show them what the stuff looks like and bring it back.
All right, we can do that.
And then, yeah, you're gonna take all these guys. These guys are gonna stay back. We're gonna play with the mine tour, and then you guys get to see it second.
Yeah, just be aware, I got a car in front of one cage, and I got the gate defenses down there right now.
What vein? The veins do some funny stuff here. We came through the orchard, then there's the primrose, and they fault up and then they fault back down and then they come back up again, actually. So you go through the orchard and the primrose vein like 2 more times back there. But we started working here in 2007. Yeah, 2007. We started working timber jobs at Pioneer Tunnel in 2005, 2006, came here in 2007. We were working Pioneer Tunnel on Saturdays and here on Sundays. And just laying new rail, cleaning the place up. Because like Zach said, it opened for tours in 2002, but it was pretty crude back then. So we were helping out down here on the weekends, doing some rail work and some other stuff in the place. But around 2000, when did we do this? 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
This used to be filled in, so there's a coal chute right here that goes up to the next level. So anthracite veins down here are pretty much straight. So this is a straight vein of coal right here, and it's all supported here so you can't see it. But the bottom rock, if you look to the left, the bottom of the vein is actually the rock on the left. And then the top rock is the rock on the right. So if you think of like, most people think of mines as like flat with room and pillar where you walk around between the coal pillars, stand that straight up. And that's how all the veins are worked up above us here. So the plan was to put a coal chute in for a demonstration. So we came back here. And this was all spilled out from a chute right back here, almost all the way to the end of the hospital. Wow. So up by the motor barn, when we go outside to have hot dogs later, there's a chain conveyor there that we brought in and had set up here.
I think I saw that video.
It's kind of tight here, so we can rotate.
Oh wow, they really did dig this up.
But we put this timber in, those chutes probably 10 years ago now. Yeah. And there's a coal chute that goes up to the right, where the coal's all spilled down right now. And the eventual plan is to timber this up, finish cleaning that out, and put it in the timbers up there.
Yep.
And this is how it would work. You work this all up, straight up there. You know, the nice thing about working a mine like that is that gravity works pretty good.
Yeah, it's all collapsed back there. Oh, you can sneak behind it. On your hands and knees. Oh, it's nasty back there. Say about 10, 15 feet. Wow, look at that. It goes straight up.
All above.
They have to go up there to the timber. Gravity works against you there. So you gotta take all your timber up
Neat.
as you go up. So
Ah,
usually,
just
like
got dripped on.
They have like small hoists.
You can see how high up we are.
They got a little air hoist that you put a pole on the side of it and it runs the thing. It pulls
There's just coal that's falling out of the chute since.
Since they closed it down, yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah, I
wasn't
noticed
giant.
it looked like in the 7-foot video, there was some like that. So after you guys get done, it just keeps falling out.
I'll have a chip in it.
But you got to like either where the coal wasn't good enough or something, why do you stop at that?
At the 7 foot, we kind of ran out of coal in the Mammoth, and we would have had to sink down another level. You just drive the slope down another 300 feet, and then come back up, mine your chutes up to that one. And we were just dealing with too much water there.
So you had to pump out a whole bunch of.
Had to pump a lot of water. Yeah, you're almost pumping more water than putting coal outside. So the way that place, and the other downside of that place, there was a stripping pit just on the side of it. So as we were pumping the water out, the water was going out in the stripping pit and making its way back in the mine again. So it was like 3 days later the water would come in the mine.
Oh, nice.
So it was a pain.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you dug that out, the tunnel goes on through?
Yeah, you can see when you get up there, take a look, you can see over the pile, it keeps going. But I think it's completely closed at the next one.
Yeah, go up there if you want that.
You said that goes 2,000 feet that way.
Yeah, it goes about 2,000 feet out there to the, that would be to the east. Yeah, yeah.
But these timbers, where the timbers that were here, you
Yeah,
guys.
well, we put these in. Yeah, we put these in about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
12, 10-ish. Yeah, no, so geez, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to get a little
Yeah.
bunch of crap going on, right?
Yep. There's not a lot of airflow back in here, so that's why all that stuff grows on them.
Okay.
I don't have.
So I go by exploring with the coal cracker. I go in places these guys don't want me to go.
I know nothing. All right, well, while we have this group, how many of you guys want to climb up that? Yeah, stragglers. You got it. All right, guys, we're going to take a hot lap around the tour here. So we're going to go through this way, and then we're going to circle around and probably end up right back here to meet up with the other group. So we'll take a walk this way. So like I said, this is the.
There's Turbo. Someone lost their lid. Yeah, me. Went around the hat fall off to my head.
So anyway, when you wouldn't have to use the payloader, they would have this drum, two front plates in the go level, that would be in the middle of the rails here. And there would be pulleys that would move it up and down. It would move the mine cars to and from the elevator shaft, which is right here. This is kind of the bread and butter of this mine tour. Yeah, and then you'll-
Yep. There, I see pulleys on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So don't walk up to it, that would, you guys don't walk up to it, but it is open, it's not filled in. So this goes, I don't remember all the exact numbers, but I think it's 190 feet up to the surface, 150 feet down to the next level. The next level is above water, and you could go nose around down there. We're not gonna do that today, we'll talk about that later. Those handles, there was no safety back then. MSHA what? OSHA what? So there was no cage around the cage, if you call it. Those handles, that's how you were safe and secure going up and down the shaft. So this is how you'd actually ride on this too, to get to different levels.
So the mules went down in a different place, you
The
said?
mules wouldn't get out of an elevator cage. They were skitched out, they wouldn't do it. So yeah, the mules have a travel way to get down to the other level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A bunch of switchbacks and all?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, yep.
How far down did you say the next level was?
150 feet.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, so if we walk around the shaft over here, don't walk out that way. There's some wood here, and there's some holes in it that go to the back.
Oh my God, look at the timbers too. I mean, like, yeah. Yeah, look at that one of the chain links we real steel there.
Okay, what we're gonna do, wanted to do this last year. Shine down the, I think it's up here, you can see good. Shine that light down, and just push it once. You have to push it twice. Huh, it was working.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. Oh, there it goes.
There we go. I can't see too good down there. Let's see what this thing shows us. Ready?
Kicked around.
I see it. Looks like an amber going down there. I think it hit the water. Turn that light off a second here. Nah, you can't see it. I mean, you can see it, but it's There's a dot way down there. That's how far down that dropped.
Oh yeah, I see the water.
Wow, that's far down. There you go.
That's it.
There you see it. Just floating around down there. Wow, that's far. Yeah, it's a little hard to see because I gotta look through this grate. But right in there. Cool. And we gotta meet up with the other guys. They moved this since last time. It's an office or something there. Gotta catch up to them. I got storage bin. Oh wow. I didn't see this before. Okay. And we also gotta watch trip hazards here, some of the pulleys. Somewhere along here, I think this is it. There was a water seeping out. Here, some of the pulleys. And we'll get up here to the muleway, show you back. Yeah, it's dark in here quick.
Yeah. We'll talk about the wheel a little bit here. Where's the scratch? Wow. Look at that thing. We need new scrags. That's right. Yeah, you got it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big shame right there. We need mixing new scrags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a glow ball. That shows up nice down there.
Yeah.
It looks like an amber falling down, like a fire amber going down. It's orange.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, it's not.
Nice. All right, guys. So they use mules in the mines. You know, everybody hears about mules in the mines, and they were replaced by electric mine locomotives. I believe they used the mules even still right up until the 1960s.
1960s, yeah.
And most mules, when they came in the mine, they didn't leave until they died. They had mule barns underground where the mules would live in. Some of them were pretty ornate. I know Reading Anthracite was pretty big on building like ornate mule barns, big concrete things with fancy carvings in them. And they had feeding troughs and all that set up for them, and irrigation going through for watering. And they had a little trough going down through the middle for, you know, whatever, for the mule stuff.
That was the mind of being if you were a mule.
Yeah, well, the mule was more important to the coal companies than the miners were, because like I said, the miners were replaceable. They were coming in looking for jobs everywhere, but the mules weren't.
Yeah,
And
hard
there
to
was
get a mule up here, right?
Yeah, they'd really give you the running through too if you abused the mule. You know, a lot of miners would, or the mule boys. You know, you start out in the mine being a door tender, like I was telling you about outside, and then you graduate to a mule boy as a mule driver. And they always carried these sprags. So a sprag they'd use to stop the mine cars. So, you know, you couldn't let the mine car run over the mule because, you know, most gangways and tunnels had a little bit of pitch on them so the water would run. So you couldn't let the mine car push the mule, so you take the sprag, you'd stick it in the spoke of the wheel, it would come around and lock against the frame, and then they would make that wheel slide. The other thing they learned to do is whenever you're walking past the mule, because if you didn't take care of the mule, he remembered it. So whenever you walk past the mule, you always carry the sprag like this, because the mule would take and push you and squish you against the rib. So if you carried the sprag like this, it would poke in the side of him, and then he'd back up and go the other way. So they say. But yeah, they.
Yeah, I believe it.
We restored a couple mine cars and had 800 feet of track down at my dad's house back in 2004. We had, you know, some kids do fun things. We had spragging games.
There you go.
Get sprags and get the mine car rolling. I think there's videos of that on YouTube.
Yep, it
too.
is on
Get the mine cars
Oh, I
rolling,
gotta
and
check
run
that out.
alongside and sprag the mine cars and
Cool.
good stuff.
Crazy kids.
So the kids. Looks like.
Oh, go ahead.
Man, this thing was just big enough to make a comfortable walkway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what pitch would you say this one is?
75-ish. I was a guessing man.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and spiral in there. So this was the original escapeway. This wait till it gets up here. Sorry. Yeah, scoot through.
This tunnel is.
Yeah, I like that way.
Uh-huh.
Serious.
Correct. Yep.
Walmart.
Dig a tunnel they didn't have to, right?
Yep. So this was the original escapeway out of the mine that was put in 2002. So as part of state mine regulation, you always got to have 2 ways in and out of the mine, which you're following along with our little Brooks Mine project up there in Scranton. That's what we're about ready to start right now, is setting another escapeway outside. Pretty excited about that because we're the first people to drive a new tunnel in Scranton in probably 75 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But so this escapeway went up on this pitch as you look up. Then it went up a vertical ladder about 30 feet, and then it cut back across us again, going out this way. And then it went out a tube out to the surface like a big metal drum. That was about 50 feet in. But when they put that in the ground, you know, they excavated it out with an excavator until they hit where they dug outside with the coal. The timber rotted out, and during a big rainstorm, all the rain came down and washed all the dirt around the bottom of the tube, and it all flowed down here and filled the whole escapeway in. So as soon as that happened, the mine was actually closed for a year while they drove the new escapeway outside back where we walked past before.
Oh.
Used to be able to walk that way.
So where's the other one? That's what you said, right?
The other one, that's the ladder that we walked past when we came in.
Oh, that's not the new one that they did?
That's the new one, yeah.
Oh, so I thought you said they had that too.
Well,
Oh, you did, that counts? I thought you had like 2 separate sides
the main way, you need 2 ways in it.
And that's the way out where we came in. It's hard to see. My lens is a little cruddy. I gotta clean it. But yeah, that's the exit out there. And we're right in here. That's a better picture. Cool.
Tour, but it failed because of poor drainage up at the top and the ATV riders channeling a lot of water around where our tank is and went out. So the weight of mud and everything else just kind of made that go away. But it works good as an exhibit. So where do we go ahead? This is the diamond vein, one of the thinner veins. They left it alone other than sinking the mule way down to the 2nd level. Up ahead of us is the fall, the primrose vein where we just completed timbering yesterday. Farther down, we're going to see a faulted area in the orchard where they ran an experimental or test gangway out just to prove to see if the vein was worth mining or not. You're going to see how it goes from about 5 feet down to about a foot within 8 feet. It's pinched out pretty severely.
Wow.
We're going to go across the southern Primrose gangway that collapsed a bunch of houses in Coaldale in the around 1960. And then we're going to get to see the cars sitting on the corner since 1972. And those of you who have muck boots, if you want, you can go all the way around. My advice when we do get to that point is stay to the right-hand side as we go. Do not stop, whatever you do, because you will lose your boots. It is not fun going for about 30 feet or so. And then we're going to go around into the 101 tunnel. We'll end up back over here. As we go through there, it's about maybe a foot of water towards the end. There's no mud underneath it, but there's a couple lower spots where we find a hole. Then yes, then the water may go over your boots. But that's for those of you who want. If not, once we get to where our pile of material where we stop clearing is, you can come back here and just meet us back through here on the other side of the muleway rather than try to just stand in the way. So we're going to head up this way, and we're going to go through where we did our timber work.
No, it's talking like that. Look at this airline. Yeah, airline that in place. Yeah.
It works just fine. That baby works just fine for being as old as it is.
Still works?
Oh yeah. Yep. You used it yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it had some fairly new pipe tape on the smash tank.
Of course.
So it's
That's why you
still
need a
used.
booster tank when you have 3,000 feet of pipe. You don't need a tank.
Yeah, no, that's right.
You don't need a tank.
Yeah, you don't need a tank at all, right?
It's a big compressor.
Yeah.
Now, as you come through again, this is that pile of coal you saw by our motor barn. This is where our
Whoa.
5 tons came from. It took 2 years to get everything from the pile of coal out, old timber out, clean it out, restabilize it, and retimber this. We just finished this lining the top off yesterday. Above this set of timber is a relief set of timber. It's about 3 feet above this. This coal is very friable. If you notice that pile out there, it just crumbles into dust in your hands. It's good for cogen, for power generation. It's good in some cases for steel production also. But this is what stopped access from our original tour route to the back of the mine when this gave up. You're going to notice when we get into the 101 tunnel, the opposite tunnel has concrete and steel in this same area. It's something that we keep talking amongst ourselves about, is why in an empty car plane, which is opposite us, they did concrete and steel across 2 bad areas and left this side just as the timber. You'd think it would be opposite given this was the main haulage way for level 1, but they figured it was just fine, I guess, for their purposes until it finally time won out. All right, we're going to head on through. Oh yeah.
Job here, that was great.
Is this the Mammoth vein?
No, this is Primrose.
Primrose.
This is Primrose here. So this was a faulted area, but there was no working to the east and west of us. They did try to do a little bit exploratory in it, but they obviously quickly realized that it's friable and it's just terrible material. No, especially not in the 1800s when they were in through here. There was nothing they could do with it other than road bed, so it was deemed worthless. Now, as you go around the cars, the ditch is not deep here. You can go on this side or that side, stay around here. As you come back through, take notice of the white line on the rib on the right-hand side. Behind that pile of material was also 3.5 feet of water. So we had to let that out. The water was lapping at this small pipe on the left next to me. That's how deep the water was.
How'd you get the water out?
For those of you who come in through, many of you are familiar with steam technology, was condensate. You get hot or warm water back from steam equipment. So that was what they used for heating the hospital. That is what they used for warm water in the hospital. Fire protection was the condensate. That would have been the bottom. How'd you guys do for it? All was driven in an uphill grade. Where we are right now is actually about 10.5 feet higher than the foot. It goes up a 1/16 of an inch every foot. It is an incredibly small grade, but it is just enough that it allows water to use.
This is the part of the tour that's new that they back by them cars. So this hasn't been shown. Wow, it is muddy here.
They had a tool to measure that green bit?
Yeah, everything was done manually. Simple tools, protractor, a transit. This was all simple surveying technology.
Okay. It did exist when they done this?
Yep. And the very first mines down in the valley in here were in the 1830s. They were down toward Nesquahoma. Number 1 was sunk in the 1830s. By the time they came up to this area of the valley, number 8 was 1845, and we were 10 years later, 1855. Oh yeah, well, hey, when you flush the oil and everything else through it, inside's good and clean.
Yeah, it looks good. That's another 100 years.
Well, that is Bethlehem steel, not the crap you get now.
Yeah.
That was virgin Bethlehem steel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
All right, as you're coming in, this is where I was mentioning before. Now we're at the Orchard vein. This is a severely faulted vein, as you can notice off on the east side here, the left. You can see where they tried driving a little exploratory working into it just to see if it widened out in the 19th century. They made it back about 30 feet. About 20 feet back, you can see where they tried sending a chute up, also to see if it opened up. But if you notice, the vein goes from about 6 feet down near the down near the bottom, down to about a foot. And it's doing that in about 12 feet of height. So this pinched out pretty erratically. As it comes across, it also curves back on itself until it comes back down into basically this a shaly mess of nothing. When you're over in the next tunnel, you're not going to see this vein at all. Going 50 feet through rock from us, it disappears completely. It's totally gone. It doesn't even make it over there. But again, they quickly realized that this was not worth taking also. On the second level, this vein is much better, and there's full-on workings in it. What you're noticing above us is a severe curve in the rock. Now, some of it has fallen off over the years. We cleaned it out of here, but you can see that it's sloping back almost like on an egg shape. It's called a whale back. This is what forms in faults when the veins are compressed. There was extreme pressures in this area, taking what was once bituminous coal on the flat veins anywhere from 16 inches to 72 inches to our veins here that range anywhere from that up to 50, 60, 70 feet thick in places. But this is where the vein was simply rammed together on itself and faulted out. But it leaves this hard rock curve, taking the vein up into it where it pitched. The primrose, where we were where that timbering is, looks very similar to this. But that is faulted over a height of about 70 feet. So above that timber is a large void of nothing, where all that material simply just dropped out under its own weight after it started to fall apart. All right, so we're going to move up towards the southern primrose gangway.
Okay. There you can see the water line.
It took 50 years for that silt to accumulate in here. We got it out of here, we got here.
Now watch your footing here. It's treacherous. And the pipes are not secure. I'm holding the camera steady and those pipes are moving. Wow, look at this. Getting deeper. Oh, wow.
We clean that down the bottom and then a little bit silty in the bottom. This isn't too bad. Compared to the pile we were moving for, this is pretty easy. All right, now you're all coming on up. All right, now we're at the southern primrose gangway. This is the same vein that goes right adjacent to the hospital. This is just the backside of it because the veins here are so wavy as they go through. Now, this is also the last mine vein until you would get to the Mammoth. The Mammoth in here is another 400 to 500 feet to the south of us. Now, in this mine at this level, it was 55 feet thick. That's what they were interested in when Lansford had this mine from 1961 until 1972. After 1972, when this mine closed, Bethlehem Mines took over the properties in the Panther Valley in 1974 and started large-scale stripping operations. In 1975, that is when they started to, they filled number 9 in. They removed the office building, the motor barn, any of the other ancillary surface buildings that were unneeded. Bethlehem Mines was not going to pay taxes on abandoned mine buildings. So that is why we lost all of our buildings except for the powder house, which was deemed too expensive to tear down because it's a bunker, and the wash shanty, which was being used actually as a truck garage by the borough. If they were not using it as a truck garage, that wash shanty wouldn't be there either. So that was just by pure luck that that building is still there. But everything else is gone. There were originally 8 other buildings out there. Now, in 1978, Bethlehem Mines started mining heavily in the Springdale section, and they locked the backside of this mine off. This tunnel was originally just over a mile long into the Summit Hill Basin. Now we have access to about 3,200 feet of tunnel from the portal up. You can walk right to the back of the tailings from the stripping operation that was done in 1978. So you can just see where the tunnel started to Y out into the Mammoth workings, but other than that, it is gone. It was sliced right off.
Even the shaft back there?
That's all. Everything back there is gone.
Was that the first shaft?
Like backfill?
Yeah. What you'd be looking at basically is when they were drilling down and just slicing it off. You can't see like the back of fill, but what you're looking at is the back edge of what was the top rock after they blew it. It just slid. It just kind of slid into it.
So was that the first mine shaft for coal? The spring shaft?
No. This was Springdale section.
Okay.
This is the Springdale section of it.
'Cause I've heard videos-
There were some slopes in that area on the backside of Summit Hill. There were slopes there in the early part of the 19th century.
Okay.
But they didn't really amount to much. They were small working.
Because I know the Hackleburny mine was the second. They said about one up here in Summit Hill, but it was destroyed by. We were hoping to see it down here.
No. What you're thinking up there is you're thinking of the mines that were around what was called the Old Quarry. Those were the mines in Summit Hill in the 1790s. They were the very first mines.
Okay.
At that time, they were open pit affairs, and they didn't really start going. They didn't start going underground until a little bit later. As
They were
the
like surface where the coal vein came right to the surface and they mined it from the top, right?
yes, yep. They were pretty much just scratching at it because I mean this is the 1790s. They didn't have
Right.
much availability to go down. But again, one of the ideas for even driving this into the Summit Hill Basin was to help alleviate some of the water. As they kept sinking their initial strippings down, what we would consider strippings or quarry mining, they encountered groundwater. They had nowhere to go. Pumps didn't exist at that time, unless you had small, very, very crude hand-operated or animal-operated equipment. So they needed a way to get the water out. That was one of the ideas of coming into the valley in the 1820s, 30s, and 40s. To start helping with water up there, and then they quickly realized, all right, hey, coal's down here too, and they started accessing it from lower down. But as I said before, again, this is Primrose Gangway. It goes to the east, running out this way, a little over 1,000 feet on the map. It goes underneath the backside of the borough of Lansford. 3 Tunnel, which was an ancillary mine to ours, is 200 feet above us. Just inside this gangway, you can see it back there, about 50 feet. It was not robbed. Beyond that, it was robbed heavily before they closed it off. There is a chute that still runs up to 3 Tunnel. It is partially blocked, but there is some ventilation coming from it. So there is still some access in here to 3 Tunnel. Going to the west, under the borough of Coaldale. In 1960, because of heavy mining operations down here, there were a row of houses on High and Lehigh Streets. The 2 back streets in Coaldale, they fell into the mines. They fell into number 9 in 1960. And that was when that section was totally closed off after that point. But of course, by 1960, Coaldale Mining Company, the larger company that was operating this, was declaring bankruptcy. They were at the end. Lanscoal was not going to take their lease for another year. 1960 is also the last time our cages at the shaft moved, when they were removing material from here. So that was kind of a bad year. For the transition from large-scale mining operations down to just the simple 20 guys that Lanscall had in '61.
Oh, wow.
But again, this is the Primrose vein, same vein you would see at our hospital. It is a little lower pitch here than at the hospital. It is more straight pitch at the hospital than here. Here it is going up at just about a 40-degree angle. It is manageable. The vein is 8 to 10 feet thick. It is nice blocky coal as compared to where the Primrose Fault was, where we timbered where it's friable. Again, that's just simply a matter of where it was compressed together under tectonic collision when the veins were forming. But this is as far as we have gotten in 2 years. We made it from that 105-ton pile there to this point. Looking ahead of us, you can all see a white reflector. Right underneath that are 5 mine cars sitting here since June 22nd, 1972. They were left here because the end car that's still in this tunnel, the rear axle derailed. Only the rear axle. But in 1972, when they were pulling out of here, they were scrapping copper wire, scrapping the motor, scrapping anything they could get that was easy. When that derailed, they just said, screw it, and just left them there. Because scrap prices in 1972 weren't worth trying to get it back on and get them out of here. So that's where they have sat. There are five cars sitting there. We have here on our property the last 8 complete LC&N steel cars that exist. There are no other ones that I am aware of that are in existence.
And that's Lehigh Coal Navigation.
These are Lehigh Coal Navigation cars. Now these were built by Bethlehem Steel for Lehigh. The wood cars were made at shops here in the valley, but these cars were mass produced by Bethlehem Steel for Lehigh. It was just simply, they were repaired here, easier just to manufacture by Bethlehem. So they are Bethlehem cars.
Awesome. And when you said Bethlehem took over mines, is that the same Bethlehem Steel? Or?
Yes, it is. Yep. Oh yeah, Bethlehem Mines was the mining division of Bethlehem Steel. That operated the mines in the Panther Valley from December 1974 up until summer of 1986.
Yeah, I thought that's when Bethlehem went out. Right?
That's when Bethlehem Mines divested the Panther Valley mines as they were closing down. Bethlehem Mines went bankrupt in 1993. Bethlehem Steel themselves went bankrupt in 2003, but they started selling off divisions. Bethlehem Mines was one of their first divisions that they had to get rid of. So they didn't need the Panther Valley division anymore.
Okay.
It was followed by some of the mines like Bethlehem Cambria. There were mines that they had in southwestern Ohio for bituminous. They had mines in a lot of locations at West Virginia mining operations.
Oh, wow.
They kept them a little longer for the coke, the bituminous coal for coke.
Yeah.
But this was one of the first shells that they spun off, was the Panther Valley division. It was one of their smallest divisions, and it was no longer needed.
Easy to cut off.
Yep.
So you guys are allowed to just do as much work as you want to any of this stuff? Like
Yes.
From the state to expand stuff and go
Yeah,
to new sections?
within
and all?
limits, within
That's
limits.
really cool.
Within limits.
I'm
We are
surprised
a
they don't give you a hard
non-production
time.
operation, so MSHA does not have jurisdiction to inspect this mine as non-production. We are inspected regularly by PA, Department of Environmental Protection, Bureau of Deep Mine Safety. Like any active anthracite mine, that law must be followed to the letter. 30 CFR, the federal mine law, is more of a guideline here because there are no inspectors here to come enforce it. But we do, of course, use it as a guideline.
Right.
There are limits to what we can do here. Like, I can't just go start developing a gangway. I can't just go and start doing it. That is production. That's crossing that gray line. The 105 tons that I took out was to improve ventilation, improve drainage, and access back here. That's a different story. I didn't have to fire a single shot to get it down. It had already fallen out on its own.
Like this?
Yeah, like this.
Bigger.
Just
Yeah.
clean up.
Now, we can drill and blast in here only if it is under the guise of safety of the mine, if something is to the point where we got to get it out of here, or if it is to the point where it is, okay, something that we need to, clean up, but it's something to the point where we can't just get it out of here. It is not for developmental purposes.
So like if there was a big boulder and you're retimbering.
Yeah, I can fire that out. Yeah, I can fire that out. That wouldn't be a problem. That wouldn't
Nice.
be a problem.
Cool.
All right, so at this point, for those of us that want to go around the corner, again, we're going to stay to the right-hand side. We're going to stay on the west rib. Move quickly for that 30 feet between there and the corner, and go immediately into the corner on the right. The mud there is about a foot deep. If you stop, you will sink and lose your boots. So do not stop. That is the worst thing you can do. As soon as you are around the corner, though, you get out of the silt, because that tunnel is about 2 feet higher than this one.
Any recommendation for my fat ass?
Move real fast or don't, because you will sink. Trust me, weight is not your friend through the mud. When we are in the other tunnel, we're going to be heading back towards the where the mule display is on our tour. You're going to walk through about 10 inches to a foot of water. It's not bad. There's no silt underneath that water because, again, it's higher, but there is 1 or 2 holes between the ties that will go over your boots. So just feel for the ground before you put your foot down.
Okay.
All right, so again, those of you who want to go, good. If not, you can head back to the muleway and meet us across the muleway.
Someone's lamp's not lit.
By not touching any of the timber, you can hold on to the rock ridge, though, once you get past it. And what you're walking through on this side is what we cleared with 77 cars. You can think of that.